Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Captain Flame and today we're going to be talking about Death Must Die and how it changed my perspective on ARPGs. So basically, as you probably know from my channel already, I'm a big ARPG, isometric ARPG enjoyer. I play Path of Exile, I play Last Epoch, I sometimes play some Diablo titles too. I love Torchlight and I like Grim Dawn and I've played through it multiple times. And Death Must Die, such as Halls of Torment to a lesser extent, really did change my perspective on some things in ARPGs. And especially it did in terms of build variability that you have access to in each particular moment of time. So the way that you're doing or making your builds in Death Must Die or in other survivor-like games is quite simple. It is a roguelike, which means that whenever you're loading into your map, you're taking some class with you, and then you're granted all the randomized options to you for you to create a build and to try and conquer that level. And it is very simple. It is very straightforward way for you to start the game, go in there and not think about anything. You don't need to plan your build beforehand. You don't need to think and calculate everything. Yes, you do have your items, but those items are not really the most important thing about your run. You still need to make all the decisions while you're playing, and that's not really how we are. How are we playing the RPGs normally, especially not nowadays. So I rarely see people who will play Path of Exile without a build that they didn't create beforehand or they didn't take from someone else, even if they are playing SSF, even if they are playing some mods where you cannot really decide on your character for sure, and that are way easier for you to enjoy without pre-made build or without pre-made concrete options in terms of your items, in terms of every single part of the character that is going to be present. And this is my big unenjoyment from ARPGs, for sure. I do enjoy, I love to treat ARPGs, especially because I'm playing SSF. I do enjoy treating them as somewhat of a roguelite experience when you don't really know for sure if you will get all the necessary unique items. Because you're playing SSF, you can't really buy them from the auction house or from the market or whatever. And you are relying on your luck to help you shape your build to the 100% efficiency. But otherwise, you're just creating this general type of a character that you're gonna be playing with as much of a generalistic talents to it and other parts of the character not being decided 100%. And I've thought about not using passive building just at all while playing the game, because I feel that it steals a lot of fun during the playthrough of the character. And yes, I understand that for many people who play Path of Exile, this perspective will not be it will not be okay, because they just can't do it, and most of the people just copy someone else's build, which means that build creating part of the game was never really a strong point of the game for them. They like that it is there, but they are not really there to interact with it in any meaningful way. They are just copying someone else's not even work, someone else's fun, and they are just not really interacting with that hard part of the game. And this is the problem. Whenever you're playing the survival-like game, like Halls of Torment or Vampire Survivors or Death Must Die, you are creating your build, and you're doing it while you're playing. So you're not sitting there with sheets of different data and calculations and stuff like that. You're not sitting there trying to make the best ways in your talent tree, which is fun for some time. But it would have been way more fun if you could do that while you're playing on your character. Basically, in MMOs, if you're playing nowadays any MMOs and stuff like that, you are still, you can more than not, you can build your talents for your character right on the fly. If you need some particular skills, if you want some particular abilities or passives, for example, if we were to talk about World of Warcraft retail version of talents, you are free to take each one of them, fit where they will be the best used. Basically, if you're running dungeons, you want more AoE parts. If you're running some questing, then you probably want more single target and sustain. And then you can change it. And whenever you are leveling up, you're getting talent points and you're thinking where to put them. And this is one of the most basic concepts that should be in game, that is not really present in nowadays ARPGs, just because of how much failing that build will cost you and how much you need to know everything about your character, because it's a big time investment. And yeah, just in general, you don't want to screw up anything, so you need to have as good of a template for your character, for your talent tree, as possible. And then what you're changing whenever you're leveling and whenever you're playing with your character are only items. You do have your skill gems. If we're talking about Path of Exile, you do have all your skill gems prepared for you. You may change one or two abilities during leveling because your end game ability is not available or is not as efficient, but it is not the thing that I'm talking about. You're not making decisions. All the decisions about your character are pre-made before that character even exists and before you play with that character. If you're playing on SSF, then maybe like from 20 to 40% of your character is still on. It is not finished, it's not finalized, and you still can make some adjustments, maybe even change ascendancy, and then do something like that. But you're not really still most of people, and probably like not even most, like 99% of people will at least have talent tree pre-planned before the build is being played. And that's kind of a shame, because it lowers your interest while you're playing the game, because you're not taking any talents while you're not like making a decision between taking talent for 20% melee damage or 15% fire damage and 5% fire resistance or plus 20 to life. There is no decision like that. You're just going on the path that you have already calculated on your second monitor or whatever it is. And in my opinion, yeah, it takes away portion of leveling that otherwise would have been enjoyable. And it puts more pressure on you to do all this work separately on a talent builder. And not only do that with talents, whenever you've made all your talents, you're thinking, okay, so I'm not sure, is this 15% to melee damage, or this 20% physical damage, or this 8% attack speed, or this 15% armor and 8% energy shield. Which one of these talents will give me more EHP or DPS? I don't know. I need a calculator for that, because all these talents, all these things seem quite close in their power, but for some builds and for many skills and builds, there can be quite high variation between projectile damage and elemental damage, even though this build uses both projectiles and they are elemental damage. And this inconsistency in terms of how all the types of damage applies and all the intricate mechanics that present in the game, this inconsistency adds up to you wanting to pre-calculate everything, to know which types of content this build can hit, what can you rely on, which items can you get with this character, which items will be locked for you, and you need second character specifically, for example, if you're playing in SSF and you need to gather everything by yourself. And yeah, this is a bit after playing some survivor type games, I've felt this. I felt this cool part of the game that whenever you level up through the run or through the gameplay itself, you are taking choices that will alter your gameplay of this character, that are not pre-made before you created the character and started playing. And I hope that more things like that will be present in ARPGs, even though there is no clear path for that. But yeah, just this small rant. Thanks for watching. Hope you're having a good time. Bye.